Okay, well, if you are new to the series, I know people are still registering, as we speak. So if you are new to this series, I am Sherry McAllister. I'm your host for this Tips from the Top series number 3. So welcome if this is your first time with us live. And of course, to all of you that are watching the recording later, I know that's most of you. It's just more convenient that way sometimes, isn't it? We just want to welcome you as well. If you're new, also just a couple things. One is you'll get an email the day of the recording to remind you like you did today, and then the day after to let you know that the recording is available. So I just want to remind you, don't unsubscribe from Average to Excellence until the series is over, if you're going to, because you won't get those emails. Sometimes they go to junk too, so if you're not seeing them, you might want to check your junk mail. But all of the recordings will be housed on the recording page. You can listen to them until 2 weeks after the series is over, which will be April 27th. So I hope you're enjoying the series so far. This is call number 5. We are now beyond halfway through, and every one of them has been amazing. And don't you agree that they've all just been great? And this today will be absolutely no different. We've got Jody Hoffman here. She has a background in adult education. And one of the things I always say is that there's a lot of power in the verbiage that we use and the tone that we use, and sort of speak even a little bit counter to the whole message of just be who you are. I did a live on my page the other day about, there's a downside to just be who you are. And a lot of it had to do with the verbiage that we use and the tones that we use. And of course, our political stances and, things like that. So Jody is brilliant in the arena of the words to say to get people to listen to you, to close the deal, what kind of things are, hot buttons. And so I am so excited to hear this one because I love this topic, Jody. I got to meet Jody at a leader retreat that we were both speaking at. So I can tell you that she is a very fun speaker. That's just, I wish I had that gift. I just don't, but she's a very fun speaker and easy to listen to. You're going to get a ton out of this one. So Jody, I'm going to let you go ahead and share your screen and take over. I'll be watching the chat so I can tell you, if there's anything.
Perfect. That sounds great. All right. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me. I have to tell you, Sherry and I actually, we've met many times since my very beginning of doing direct sales. And so when she asked if I wanted to be part of this, I thought, oh my goodness, I really must have made it then, huh? Right? When Sherry says that you must know what you're talking about, that's a good thing. So thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be part of this program. So let me share my screen with you. And get it going there. Perfect. Okay, so this is me. I'm Jody Hoffman. As Sherry said, I have a background in adult education. I actually have advanced degrees in adult ed, which means I spent an extraordinary amount of time studying the adult brain and how adults learn. And then I became a mom, and then I quit all of those jobs and became a direct seller. So, but don't ever say that you're not using your degree, right? Because I'm definitely using it, because what I have done is take everything that I know about the adult brain, and then everything I know about party plan, and then everything I know about network marketing, because I've done 2 different direct sales companies, and I put it all together to figure out how we can talk to potential customers, current customers, things, everyone, to make them want to listen, okay? And then to make them want to buy. That's the whole idea. So I have spent some time sort of navigating the different major mistakes that lots of people make when they're doing a home-based business or a multi-level marketing. And I'm going to help you to navigate those things and try to avoid them as well, okay? So I'm going to show you some practical ways. So this is how your brain works, okay? And then I'm going to give you some really practical tips for booking, getting people to show up, closing, and using social media effectively. So at the beginning, you're going to be like, whoa, all right, I'm going to overwhelm you a little bit. And then I'm going to break it down for you and show you exactly what to do with that info, okay? You ready? Here we go. So the first thing you need to understand about the adult brain is that it kind of looks like this. Not really, but this is how it works. Your brain is like a filing cabinet. Each new piece of information that you receive needs to be filed, okay? So Most people have something that seems sort of like this. So when a new piece of information comes in, it tries to connect. Now, you might be like me and have some, ADHD issues or things like that, and your filing cabinet might be upside down and dumped out. But either way, this is the basic premise, okay? So when a new piece of info comes into your brain tries to make a connection with it, okay? So it tries to put it into a folder, all right? So my best example is about essential oils because that's what I talk about, but just go with it, right? So if I started talking to you about essential oils and you had never heard that before, you might try to connect it to the word essential and think like, okay, is this about something important? Like, and that wouldn't work, right? And then you would try to connect it to oil. And what do you know about oil? And now all of a sudden we're like in the ocean in an oil field, right? With a drill, and that's not going to work also. And so your brain tries to keep connecting it to a new folder each time this piece of information comes in. And do you know what happens if it can't connect? If you have nothing to relate it to and you can't make this new piece of information connect to anything that you know, it goes into this extra folder called the confused and overwhelmed folder. And I am fairly certain that it is Sherry who taught me that people who are confused and overwhelmed always say no, right? So when our information overflows into that confused and overwhelmed folder, people just say no. So we have to pay attention to not overwhelming people, and also giving them information that they can connect to something that they already know. Don't worry, I'm going to show you how in a second. Okay. The best way to get information into a folder is for people to ask questions. This is the best way to open up a folder, okay? So if you can put your customer in a position to ask you a question or request information from you, it opens the folder in a different part of the brain, okay? And it makes you sound less like Charlie Brown's teacher. So really, if I just come at you and I'm like, okay, here's everything you need to know about whatever it is that you sell, okay? You're going to hear, all right. But if I put you in a position where I give you a small amount of information that you can connect to something you already understand, then you're going to ask a question. And now any words that I say are a response to you. And you're going to be able to hold on to that information and connect that information in a different way. Okay, cool. So we'll talk about exactly how to do that in a second. Here's the other thing you need to know about your brain. Your brain knows exactly how much time it has and how much new information it's capable of taking in. That's why if you're super overwhelmed and someone tells you, don't forget to get lettuce at the grocery store, you have not held on to that information. Your brain is full. So when people say like, oh my gosh, my brain is full, that's a real thing, you guys. Your brain gets full and then nothing else can come in. Your brain is amazing at knowing before you start whether or not it's going to have the capability to take in this new information you're trying to give it. Okay. So consider how a customer's brain reacts to you arriving at an event with piles and piles and piles of junk, right? They look at that and think, oh my goodness, I don't have time for all of this, right? Or when they walk past your vendor table and it's like stacked high and you have paper everywhere and there's like so many things happening, right? It's not an English major, you guys, it's an adult education major. So when they walk past and they see all of that going on, no one is thinking, oh, look at all of this great information. They're like, whoa, too much. Okay. The same is also true when you make a very, very long post on social media. So actually, statistics show that if you make a post that's so long that that see more button pops up, have you guys seen that? So you're on Facebook, you're typing and typing and typing, and then when you post it, the little link comes that says see more, right? Now, statistics show that people will not even begin reading your post if they see that that see more button is at the bottom, because their brain has already decided that they don't have enough time to take in that much information. Isn't that crazy? So what do we need to do? We need to make shorter messages, right? We need to be able to speak about whatever we want to talk about in a more concise way. Now, this obviously is true for Facebook messages. How many people have received a 3-page long Facebook message? I have 3 of them today. And guess how many of them I read? None, right? No one's reading your very long emails, okay? Everybody right now is on a need to know basis in terms of content that's coming in digitally, okay? And I would argue also content that's coming in real life, right? Because I'm certain that my husband has told me 5 or 6 things today that I have no recollection of. Okay. So everyone's on a need to know basis. So if you can't make it important and relevant to them and concise, no one's paying attention. Okay. So so let's talk about the third thing. So we've got the filing cabinet, we've got your brain knows how much time, and then this is the third thing, okay? Emotions change the way the brain is working, and they alter the pattern of behaviors that we're used to as well. So right now, things are a little bit different, right? There are 2 prevailing emotions of our times, okay? One is loneliness and one is boredom. Okay. So, on top of all the other things that we know, we also are going to have to find ways to create community and fun. Okay. So, that means your VIP pages, that means your events, everything needs to be fun, it needs to be entertaining, and it needs to make people feel connected. Okay. So, this is a whole bunch of brain information that you have. So now we want to know, what are you going to do about it? Okay. So I'm going to show you, we're going to break it down for you in little sections, and we'll talk exactly about what to do with each of those things. But before I move into the next section, are there any questions so far about how the brain works? I don't know if people can unmute.
Nothing in chat so far, Jody.
Okay, perfect. I will keep going. All right. So when we first talk, let's start talking about booking. All right. So when you want to book a class or a workshop or a party or whatever you're calling it, there's 3 different things, of course, that we need to be focused on, right? So let's start over with our filing cabinet. We want to make sure that we're giving people options. When you give options, then it's easier for them to find something that connects to them or relates to them. So one thing to remember about options is that when you tell people things, when you give people options, you want to make sure that all the choices are acceptable, right? So I'm not going to reach out to you and say, do you want to host a party? Okay, because one of the possible answers of that is no, and that's not acceptable. So we're going to instead offer these options, right? Okay, do you think you would have more fun at a workshop or at a pop-up class or at a virtual party or whatever the things are, okay? You have tons and tons of different options that you can put out there. Start calling your party something different than a party if you can, okay? So people have an understanding of what that means. So if it's something where they're going to learn how to do something, call it a workshop. If they are, and classes isn't working right now either. Workshop is working really well. So if you can format your product into a workshop, like go for it. That is something that brings in a feeling of community and doing something, right? So it's going to address that. So whatever your event is, girls' night in, or something that makes you feel connected and also, like it's going to be fun. How about thinking about this information, presenting one piece of information at a time? So again, the brain knows too much, it knows when it's too much information. So thinking about how can you create this situation for a hostess who wants to do it. Okay. So what I see a lot of times, what I receive a lot of times, everybody wants me to host a party because I love to shop. Okay. So I get invited to host every day. So what I see is people send me this big long message and they're like, oh my gosh, we have the most amazing hostess incentive for this month. And you're going to get this and this and this. And if your party reaches this, you'll get this. And it goes on and on and on and on. Right. My brain's like, hold up, yo, because I don't even know what we're talking about anymore. Okay. So instead, you're going to try to give one piece of information at a time and put that person in a position to ask questions, right? So I love to say, hey, guess what? There's an amazing hostess special that's coming up in April, and I would love to tell you about it. Can I tell you more? Right? Or I thought of you right away. Can I tell you about it? Okay. And always use the name, right? How many people are getting messages that are like, "Hey lady." No thanks. Don't do that. Okay. I struggle because in real life that's how I talk, so I had to change it, right? But so hey, there's this amazing hostess reward, or hey, there's, something's going on. Can I tell you more about it? I thought of you right away. These are words that make people feel like connected. But now, when you say it that way, she's going to come back and say, yeah, you can tell me about it, because curiosity, you guys, is a real thing. People want to know. Okay. So now, though, she's asked for this information. And when you give it to her, you are not Charlie Brown's teacher anymore. You are responding to a specific question and giving her information that she asked for. The brain receives it in a different part of the brain, and they're able to react to it in a better way. You're going to have a better chance for a good result. Okay. Another great one is, hey, who wants these freebies? Right? Or whatever the thing is that you have, and then let people ask, how do I get them? That's what you want to do. Okay. Now, let's talk about fun. We want to make booking fun for our hostesses, right? So, you want to offer fun themes, you want to offer contests. I love a multi hostess event. Okay. A multi hostess event is really going to help attract the fun part, all the emotions. It's going to handle that because now you're building community, everybody's having a good time. Also, when you're doing a multi hostess event, I highly recommend that you put your hostesses together in a group and you give them the directions at the same time, pit them against each other, get them going that way. It also removes a little bit of the stress of being a hostess, right? Sometimes being a hostess, for some people, they feel really nervous about it, like it's a popularity contest. So creating a multi-hostess event is also going to be fun. Okay. So those are my suggestions for booking using what we know about the brain. So now let's talk about how to get people to show up for these events. Okay. So, what are we going to do now that we've got it booked? How do we make sure that people attend? So, once again, we're going to look through all the different parts that we know about the brain. So, in terms of connections, people need to know what to expect. Okay. So, I told you that the prevailing emotions of the times right now are loneliness and boredom. And the third one, anxiety. So, even a virtual event, people will avoid if they don't know what's going to happen. Okay. So you really want to make sure that people understand what's going to happen. That means you're going to tell them how long it's going to be. You're going to tell them whether they're going to be on camera, right? So if it's a Zoom, you're going to tell them about that. You're going to tell them a little bit about what you're going to do during that live event. Okay. So let people know what's going on. If it's a multi-day event, tell them how many days. Tell them what they're going to see on each day. Okay. So that people understand what it is that is expected of them and what they should expect from you during that experience. Another thing you can do is sample ahead of time. Now, depending on your product, this may or may not be reasonable, but if you have a sampleable product, then let's get it in their hands before your live event. Okay. So this is going to get them invested. They're also going to have more questions. So anytime they have something in their hand that they're trying, they're going to have more questions about it and want to know more. Okay. So make sure they've got a sample if it's something that you can sample. The next thing is, in terms of the brain and how much time it can take, you want to make sure that you're promising speed. Okay. No one is going to an hour-long Zoom call. Nobody is watching you on Facebook for more than 30 minutes, 20 minutes, really. Okay. So figure out how to say what you have to say in a small amount of time. If you feel like your message really is going to take longer than 20 minutes, go live a couple times in your event, right? If you're in a living room, it's a little bit different because people are very unlikely to just stand up and walk away from your presentation. But let me tell you something. If you are live on Facebook or you are in a Zoom, people have no problem standing up and walking away, right? All social etiquette rules have left the building. So promise speed so people will want to come knowing they're not going to be trapped in something that takes a long time. Okay. And the other thing is pick a really good time. Don't schedule your class at the kids' bedtime, right? Because even if you don't have kids, other people do, and they're not going to stop putting their kids to bed so that they can come. So a lot of times you're going to want to pick something that's a little bit later in the day. Okay. And I know we always think like, well, can't somebody else put them to bed one time? It's just this one night class, right? But think about how often you're invited to classes or parties. It's not just one time. So you're going to have much better success if you can wait till after those kids are in bed. Then in terms of your fun, making sure that there's fun and community, you're going to want to create a personal connection. Okay. So when you're doing a live event or a live online event, you're going to want to make sure that you establish a connection with people. So whether that's in comments or it's in messages, you're going to have a much better time if people feel connected to you. One really super easy trick is make sure that your profile picture is your face. Just your face, not you and your dog, not you and your husband, not your children, just you, no sunglasses, looking directly at the camera. Okay. Why? Because if I see your profile picture and you're looking directly at the camera, it looks like you're looking at me and I can make eye contact with you and that makes me trust you and it builds that relationship as well. So I highly recommend that you make sure that your profile picture is your own face, only your face, close up, smiling, no sunglasses, eye contact. Okay. So that's a really good one. And no, don't do all the funny filters with like the dog ears and the hearts on your face either. Okay. You probably already knew that, but please don't do that. Please stop, everyone. Please stop doing that. Okay. So, especially in your profile picture is all because you want people to connect with you. And I don't want to buy something from a puppy with hearts on its face. So there you go. All right. So the other thing is, for attendance is remember fun and boredom. When we were talking to our hostess, we can create incentives. If this many people show up to the event live, you're going to get this. If this many people show up, you're going to get this. Okay. Give her a goal that is attainable and measurable so she knows when she's got it. All right. Okay. Now let's talk about closing the sale. All right. So again, we need to address all the different sections of our brain and how it works. So let's talk about closing in terms of connections. Please do not overwhelm. Okay. If your message to someone about how to buy in the end, or your post about how to buy at the end of your event is a long thing, they're going to get overwhelmed and confused and just walk away. Right? So it doesn't matter how bad I want something. If I have to read 4 paragraphs to figure out how to get it, I will just leave. Okay? So keep that in mind. Don't overwhelm them. Instead, give a little bit of information. Don't give every single option that you have available either, right? So if you have 4 different ways that someone can get started, pick the most common way and share that. Let them know there's other ways so they can ask questions if they want to. Then when they ask that question, it opens the folder. Now there's a place for that new information to go. All right. So please don't overwhelm them. Don't message a whole paragraph. Also, a lot of times we get to the close, we're starting to talk about something that's free, right? And I want to encourage you, no matter where you are in the sales cycle, please don't lead with this item is free. Because if I don't know why I need it, or I haven't already fallen in love with it, it doesn't matter that it's free, right? So instead, teach me to love that product, whatever it is. Show me why I need it. Make me fall in love with it, and then make me ask how much it costs, right? And then when I say how much it costs, then you can tell me, oh, it's free. What? Yeah, it's free when you blah, 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 blah. Whatever it is, I'm going to do blah, 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 because I'm totally invested. You've connected with the part of my brain that is, that's working about this. And I want that thing now. Okay. So keep that in mind as well. Another thing is when someone asks about a product that they want to buy, you have options. No matter what company you're in, you have options where they can join this, or they can get this in a bundle of something, or they can have whatever, right? So when someone asks you to purchase something, I highly encourage you again to use this technique and say, okay, well, if you just buy it regular, it costs this much, but we have some other options. Wait for it. Would it be okay if I told you about those? Of course, they're going to say yes. That yes opens the folder. Now you can tell them about joining. You can tell them about all your different options that you have. Okay. All right. Now also, oh, don't leave with free. We did that. And then we want to make everything really easy. Okay. If your company has a website that's super easy to manage, hallelujah, congratulations. If your company has a website that is not easy to manage, I highly recommend that you do it for them. Okay. Place the order for them, help them through the process. Okay. So I have a website that's separate from my company, so I can see how many people get into the cart, put things in the cart, and then walk away. I can see how often that happens. Now, I can't see that on my company's website, and you probably can't either, but you need to know that it happens. So if you can stay with them and continue that customer service straight through all the way through the order, okay, then you're going to have a higher success rate in terms of having them actually finish the purchase and them feel like they are not overwhelmed by the process. Okay. So make it super easy. And then in terms of dealing with the emotions of the time, you're going to have to get on the phone. I know you just want to send messages, but Facebook messaging right now, it's like the ads on television, right? People go to Facebook and then they deal with the messenger because they have to, right? So there's so much sales going on in those messages. There's so much happening that it's really, really hard to get a connection there. So if you can get on the phone, that's great. If you can text message, that's great. If you have to do Facebook messaging, consider using the voice memo because then they can hear your voice and connect with you that way. And also they know you didn't just copy and paste, right? So the assumption when someone sends a Facebook message is that they've copied and pasted it to a whole bunch of people. So do whatever you can to get away from that. All right. Okay. How about social media? Let's talk about how the different parts of our brain impact on social media and the different things that you can be doing. So the first thing, this is the most important thing, I want you to put people in a position to ask questions. Make posts that make people wonder. So if you're going to write anything down this whole time, this is it. I'm going to tell you how to make the perfect Facebook post right now. It's 3 steps. Are you ready? Do you have a pencil? You're going to want this. Step 1. You need a picture that makes them stop and go, what's going on here? Okay. So sometimes that's me making a funny face, or sometimes I'm holding something and making a funny face. Whatever it is, it has your face in it probably. Okay. But it's something that makes them stop and go, what is happening? Okay. The second part of your perfect post is a very small amount of text that just gives them the basics so that they're in a position to ask questions. And the third thing is some sort of call to action. So the call to action is not, don't write comment below because that'll get you flagged. Don't write, let me know, right? Ask a question that they need to answer in the comments, right? Or do something that they want to respond to. Let them know what they're supposed to do. So that is your perfect post, those 3 things, okay? So you're going to see when you make posts like that people are more likely to stop, they're more likely to read, and they're more likely to respond. It's easier to do when you're not talking about your business, when you're learning how to make these posts. So try it one time with something that's not business related so you can see how it works, right? So a great example is there was this viral post that was going around where everybody was posting a towel folded 3 different ways, right? And then it said like, okay, I have to know what kind of towel folder are you, right? What a silly post. Okay, who cares? But people scrolling through Facebook saw 3 towels folded and were like, what is going on here? And then the information was very short and the question and what they're supposed to do next was very clear, right? What they just commented, I'm an A, I'm a B, I'm a C. It led to great conversation and great interaction. So what you want to do then is just remember those 3 parts, okay? Now, when you're thinking about your business, the questions, the things you want people to wonder about, right? So when I'm making a post, I want them to go, what is that oil for, right? Or you might say, where did you get that shirt? Or are your nails a sticker, right? Like, what is it that they're saying when they look at your picture that makes them wonder about what's going on, right? Oh my gosh, your earrings are so cute. So you want to be putting things out there in a way that you're not being super obvious and you're allowing them to ask questions, right? You're also going to stay away from see more. If you make a post so long that it says see more, edit, okay, edit. The only exception there is if you're making a story post where they're going to be so invested by the time they get there that they'll keep reading. Okay, then also want to remember that social media is social. People are coming here to meet you, to learn about you, and to interact with you, not for ads for your business. Okay. So stay away from stock photos. So, you know what I mean by that? Like the picture that came from your company with the product on it that doesn't have anything to do with you. Stay away from that. And stay away from words that sound like an infomercial or like you have copied and pasted them. Instead, share how your product fits into your life. If you have a delicious coffee that you're selling, then please post a picture of you drinking that coffee and talk about why you love it so much without being salesy. People will realize what you're doing and ask you for that information, right? You don't have to be so like, tell me if you need some. It doesn't need to be like that. So, showing how whatever your product is fits into your life and how it makes your life better, people will ask you the questions, right? So, you'll be able to do it that way. Also, you obviously want to balance your business and personal posts so that you're not going overboard posting all business all the time and then people get overwhelmed and you sound like a commercial, right? That's how you get unfollowed and we do not want to be unfollowed. All right. I'm going to try to stop coughing. All right. So the last piece when we're talking about this is supporting your customers while they already come in, right? So I want to talk to you a little bit about what that looks like. So one thing is some kind of welcome call. So depending on what your product is, people might need help learning how to do it or learning how to use it. Or maybe they just want to be welcomed and thanked for their purchase as well. So something that you can do to interact with them to follow up about the purchase. Okay, so getting on a call or chatting with them in some way to let them know that you appreciate them and to help them move to the next step, whatever that may be in your business. Okay, and the other thing is pick one group. All right. So if you have a VIP group and your upline has a VIP group, and then you've got another group for something else and another group for something else, please, for the love, do not add people to every single group. Pick one. Okay. The right one. And then ask permission before you do it because we don't want to just put people in groups without asking them first. All right. And I really do want you to think about how we're interacting. You love your product. Whatever it is, you are living and breathing that product and you want to talk about it 24 hours a day, right? I totally get you. But sometimes when we make our next move after someone makes a purchase, I need you to imagine if Target did what you're about to do, would it be cool? Hear me out. If you went to Target and you bought a pair of jeans, right? And you checked out, and by the time you got home, you had been added to a group about Target, right? And then someone had invited you to a business opportunity for Target. And then you also had received 3 emails about how to wear your jeans or different jeans that you might try next, right? And then somebody sent you a cute sticker that was a Target sticker. And then right? And then all of a sudden your whole entire news feed is like Target, 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 Target. You'd be like, whoa, right? But you guys, that's what some people are doing. You buy something and then all of a sudden you're in every single group and you're getting 1,000 messages. Remember that just because you love your product, it doesn't mean that a brand new customer is going to be as obsessed as you are. Let them wade into the pool slowly until they get there on their own. Okay? Okay. So just pick a little bit at a time. All right. I also, side note, it's not on this chart, but I do want to say this. I had an experience where I was invited to a party. It was a friend of mine's party. And I just went to support her. I don't even use the thing that they were selling. Okay. I don't have the tools to make it. I don't like it, whatever. It's not my thing. But I was like, okay, fine. I'm coming to support my friend. So I found something that I needed. And I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to buy. And I asked the person, the rep, how do I buy this? And she said, don't buy it now. Wait until the end because I'm going to show you other things. And I was like, what are you doing? Right? I'm ready now. Let me give you my credit card. Please take my money for the love. Anyways, in the end, I ended up buying some things. And the next day, received an email inviting me to the business opportunity for that company. What? Right? What if Target did that? That would be weird. So really, please think about it. Let people go in step by step and get to that place on their own. All right. Okay. The next thing is when we're talking about supporting your customers, I want you to make sure that you're giving them a reason to make time to talk about their experience or to talk about your product or to talk about the next steps. People will make time if they feel valued and see an importance as well. Okay. So make sure you stay connected and engaged as well. And then as far as dealing with the emotions of the time, we want to make sure to form a community. So this is where your VIP pages can get really important, okay? Make sure that you're doing fun stuff in there. People want to engage and they want to feel seen, okay? One of the most impactful things that we did this year is we started doing Famous Friday, where we would grab a new customer or a builder and we would just highlight them and let them, put up a little bit of information so that people would get to know each other. Play a game every now and then. Make sure that you're having a good time, right? And as often as possible, see if you can get people into a call or onto a video so that they are seeing your face. All right. And then always opt for those opportunities for fun. Okay, so I'm going to answer your questions in 1 second, but first I just want to show you a little opportunity that we do have available for you if you want to have some fun with me. So I do, if all of this seems exciting and you're like super nerding out about the adult brain and you want some ideas about how to make this work specifically for your business, I would love to work with you on that. So we do one-on-one consulting, but I call it fun consulting because someone's a nerd. It's fine. So you can hop on and hang out with us there. And then we also have team consulting. So this is something I really love to do where I'll come to your team call. You and I talk ahead of time. We figure out exactly what your team needs to hear and learn about. We do it together. And that's something that's also available. So there's your links. And I'll just give you this. You can use the coupon code TOP-TIP to get a discount as well. So this would be a good screenshot if you need one. Anybody? There you go. So this is something that I love to do. I really love working with people who are in different companies than I am, and helping them to create content and experiences that make their customers feel excited and open to learning as well. So there's that info. And then this is my last slide. And before I let you ask questions, I'm going to tell you the psychology of this question. All right. So believe it or not, even now in 2021, when we are all empowered, amazing women, when you say to someone, do you have any questions? It is very common for them to hear, are you so stupid that you didn't understand what I said? And so we want to stay away from that. When you phrase your question like this, what questions can I answer for you? Then what you're saying is, of course you have questions. It's normal to have questions. I'm the person that can answer them. So here you go. What questions can I answer for you this afternoon? I'm going to stop sharing so I can see your faces.
I am just writing that last thing down because I thought it was so awesome. Did anybody else take 3 pages of notes today? I mean, oh my gosh, that was a lot of really fabulous information. So thank you, Jody. I loved, what you heard last is kind of what's fresh in your mind, right? But I loved that you put us in their shoes. Imagine if Target. And I think that's such a great way of making us more aware of how what we're saying or doing feels to the other person. So I loved that you did that. And when you were talking about how do you fold a towel and how much, interaction you got there and how fun it was for people, it took me, I posted just a simple question like, does anybody know how to fold a fitted sheet? That was it. I probably got 150, by far the most responses I've ever gotten people I hadn't heard from in 10 years, you know, were responding to that. My old business coach, when I was at in the field, she messaged me a link to a video to show me how to fold a sheet, and somebody else sent me a PDF document. I mean, it was just, you know, I was just being silly, like, oh, as you always say, for the love, does anybody know how to fold a fitted sheet? And it was just, so yeah, that's just simple questions like that, or a little picture that asks a question.
And people really love to be helpful, right? So anytime you can ask for a recommendation, it works so well. So one of the things I do in one of my coaching things is to talk about your fun meter, which isn't a real word, but I mean, that's not what it's called, but the Facebook algorithm that decides whether or not people see your posts based on how much interaction you get. And one of the best things that you can do to mess with that algorithm and get more people to see your things is to make a post where you ask people for a suggestion about shoes. I'm not 100% certain why this works, but if you say, I'm going to start running, tell me your favorite running shoes, people will do just like that. They will send you links. They will go outside and take pictures of their feet. They will do all kinds of things because they want you to know what their favorite shoe is. So this is a place where they can feel helpful. Unless you're a person who doesn't. So when I did it, people asked if I had been kidnapped, but that's really neither here nor there. So just, asking a question where people can give you advice or make a recommendation is a really great thing to do. So fitted sheets, shoes, there it is.
I love it. I didn't know that. But now that I think about it, when I asked, we were going to Europe, and I said, I need a good recommendation for comfortable walking shoes. And yeah, I mean, a million people responded.
So many people want to tell you that. Everybody just wants to feel helpful and they want to talk about themselves, right? Yeah. So when you give people an opportunity to talk about themselves, they will take it every time.
Yes. It's definitely a rapport builder. Oh yeah, they're just affirming what you said. All right, guys, what questions can she answer for you?
Perfect.
Or, also, what was your best takeaway? I mean, as this trainer, I love that. Like, what was your takeaway from this? So, anybody?
I really liked your analogy about the folders. When I was a teacher, I taught my students the same thing, that information is like a folder, and then I would show them the clip from that Jim Carrey movie where he's God and his entire life is in a file cabinet.
Oh, yeah.
If you haven't ever seen it, it's a great visual, at least for 7th graders it was. But helping leaders to understand that their team members are like that too, I think is the hardest thing. Because when we get new consultants coming in, it's like, okay, you need to know how to do this and this and this, and they always feel scrunched.
Absolutely.
So that was a really great analogy. Thank you.
And launching a new builder, given all of this information, is like a whole nother category of things, right? So what's the really hard part about that is that however you like to learn is probably not how the new people on your team, they won't all feel the same way. So I'm a person who wants to figure it out on my own, and I'll ask you a question if I have one, right? But that totally freaks some people out. If someone had handed me like a guidebook that was like, here, do this 5,000 page thing, I would say absolutely not. But some people like that. So figuring out how your new builders like to learn is a really important thing to do. And you can use that same question. What questions can I answer for you? I use that at the beginning of every call, of every builder meeting, because when you start there, you know where they want to go, right? They're going to tell you in that moment, I need all the information, or I want just one thing, right? So I'll say, what are your burning questions, or what questions can I answer for you? So absolutely cool. Thanks.
I like the comment about giving just one piece of information and say, but I have more. Can I give you the information?
Yeah.
Because that was like, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. And they'll say yes, they want to know, but if you give it to them all at once, they're not going to read it all.
Right.
So one piece at a time. Open the folders. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Jody, you know, when I have a new client, just in reference to what you just said, when I have a new client, they'll often ask, how often should we speak? And I'll say, well, do you need to process things, or do you want information like a fire hose? You know, which are you? And there's no right answer or wrong answer. So some people choose to speak every other week and some every week, you know, so it makes perfect sense.
Awesome.
Anybody else? There's no questions in the chat, Jody. So
Okay.
last chance. I loved this. You know, anything to do with psychology for me is super fun. So this was all new information for me. So it was really, really fabulous. Thanks, Jody.
Well, thanks for having me. It was really fun, guys. Thanks.
All right. So
Thank you.
See you next Monday, where we have Lauren Granato speaking to us next.
You're gonna love her. She's awesome. Yeah.
Her and her turquoise hair. So she looks so fun, so fun. All right. We will see you on Monday. Have a great week. Bye, everybody.